Good Tuesday afternoon. Welcome back to Tuesday night Bible study. Tonight we're going to pick back up on God's judgment upon the earth. The title of tonight's lesson will be The Premillennial View, Part 20. Tonight we're actually going to study and pick back up on the 21 judgments that God is going to have fall upon the earth during this 7-year tribulation period. Last lesson we talked about the seven seals. There's actually 7 seals. I think we're at the 6th one. We'll pick back up on the 7th one tonight. But within the 21 judgments, we've covered the seal judgments. That's the first set. Then the next set will be the trumpet judgments. And then the last set of the 21, which will be the last 7, will be the 7 vial judgments of Revelation. Now, a little bit of review, because I've been sort of under the weather and haven't been able to be on here a couple of Tuesdays, and I apologize for that, but I'm back at it tonight. So tonight we'll pick back up, if everyone wants to, turn to Revelation chapter 8, verse 1. And while everyone is turning to that and get to it, I will review the first 6 seal judgments. The first 6 seal judgment was of course, I know everybody's heard taught before on the 4 horsemen. The first seal judgment is the white horse. Who is this white horse? This is the Antichrist. This is when he is released onto the earth with full power that is given to him from God. Then we see the second seal, which would be the second horseman, which is the red horse, which we know red resembles blood. So a sword was given to him to take peace for. So that will be the wars that breaks out during this period of time. Then we have the third seal, which is the black horse. And we do know that this is what we could say the beginning of famine, the beginning of hunger. And how do we know this? Because this is the black horse. And of course, what follows with hunger, which would be the 4th horseman or the 4th seal, which is the pale horse. And this will follow when you have famine, you have hunger, and people will die from hunger. And then, of course, we've seen the 5th seal, which was the white robes, which are given, and we first see here the first set of martyrs that's actually martyred during this period of time. This is actually the first glimpse or the first set. So, as we move on, we go to the 6th seal, which we learn is the blood moons. And the Bible tells us the 6th seal is where the moon, the sun turns to darkness, and the moon turns to blood, and stars fall from the skies. So this is our first set of seal judgments. So as we get started at chapter 8, we're going to pick back up on this. This will be the 7th seal that the angels will open. And we're going to see that this is a period of half an hour, a literal half an hour of silence in heaven. Now, I can't answer you to the question. We can speculate on the hour of silence, but we can't give a biblical actual answer as to why. So let's get started. Chapter 8, verse 1 here. And when he had opened the 7th seal, there was a silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. Now, Bible scholars, and if you study this out, Bible scholars believe, and again, this is not biblical, this is a human belief. We could be way off on it, and we could be right on the money, but believe that this half an hour of space is from the first set of 6 seal judgments that all of heaven has seen and witnessed fall upon the earth. They've never seen judgments like this before. And they're sitting there thinking, wow, could anything more miserable, more happen on this earth? And again, this is just a speculation. It doesn't mean that's not biblical. But there's an actual silence in heaven for about a space of a half an hour. Now let's move on. Verse 2, and I saw the 7 angels which stood before God, and to them were given 7 trumpets. So these 7 angels are going to pour out what we call the next set of 21 judgments. This will be the 7 trumpets of Revelation. These will all be judgments that fall on the earth during this period of time. And another angel stood and came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer, and there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne. Verse 4, and the smoke of the incense which came with the prayers of the saints ascended up before God out of the angel's hands. Now, what saints is the Bible talking about here? Well, we know the church is gone at the first of chapter 5. We know the church has already been raptured. We already know there's tribulation saints that's died, been a martyred death. So there's more saints that's going to be martyred during this period of time. How do we know this? Because these are prayers that are coming up from the saints on earth to heaven. Verse 5, and the angel took the censer and filled it with fire of the altar and cast it into the earth, and there were voices and thunderings and lightnings and an earthquake. Now, you're going to see there's going to be a couple of earthquakes, but there's going to be one like no other earthquake coming here in the last part when Christ returns back with the church during the Battle of Armageddon. And we'll talk about that as we go. But these earthquakes are going to get more intense and going to destroy a lot more stuff. So, as we go, verse 6, and the 7 angels which had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. Now, like I said, this 7th seal is the silence. This is between the last seal judgment, which is the silence, and the first trumpet judgment. So verse 7 here tells us. Number 7, this is the first trumpet judgment right here. It's hail and fire and blood rain from heaven. Verse 7, the first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, and a third part of the trees were burnt up, all green grass was burnt up. So now we're getting ready to see, as each one of these judgments fall, more people, more of God's creatures, animals, and we're going to see more of His of the earth is going to be destroyed as these judgments go. So we see here it says a third part of trees were burned up. So that means a third part upon the world. And then it says all green grass was burned up. So that means all grass. Verse 8. This would be the second trumpet. And we'll see here in a minute, it's either going to be an asteroid or a meteor. It's going to be burning and it's going to fall from heaven. Let's go on. The second trumpet judgment. And the second angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea, and a third part of the sea become blood. So we see here there's either a meteor or a comet that God has sent here, and it lands into the sea, and it says a third part of the sea would become blood. Now in that third part, what's going to happen to all that vegetation, what's going to happen to all them animals and creatures that's in there, as well as any ships that's on it. So you've got to look at that. Blood is heavy. A ship is going to sink. It's not going to be able to float in that. Any type of animals that's actually in this part of the sea will die. They'll suffocate. Because verse 9 here tells us, with this third part being blood. And the third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died. And the third part of the ships were destroyed. Any word, like I said, they cannot float in blood. So this is your second trumpet judgment. Now your third trumpet judgment is also going to be an asteroid or a meteor. The Bible tells us here it's a star. And what do we call a piece of a star that falls? It's either a meteor or an asteroid. The star wormwood is going to fall from the heavens. What's it going to do? It's going to poison the waters. Now let's look at this. Verse 10. And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp. And it fell upon a third part of the rivers, and upon the fountains of the waters. So this would be worldwide. This would be a third part again. All right. Why? Why is God doing it in parts? This is a good question. I've actually been asked this question, and I really don't have a biblical answer for the question other than I'll say this. God loves everyone. He doesn't want to see anybody die and go to hell. We do know the Bible said hell was not created for us. It was created for Satan and his fallen angels. God is trying to give people a chance here to repent. During this period of time, there is going to be a great spiritual warfare battle going on. You're going to have the two witnesses. You're going to have angels preaching the kingdom as well as the two witnesses. Then you're going to have, on the other side, you're going to have Satan's Trinity, which would be the false prophet and the Antichrist, and they're going to be preaching what they're going to offer men. So there's going to be a great battle going on here, spiritual battle. God is trying his best to wake people up. It's just like today. We know if you study Bible prophecy right now, if you really look at it hard, if you know prophecy, you can look and see what transpired here in the last couple of weeks. We've talked about the 10 kings, and this, of course, is getting off track a little bit, but I figured I'd throw this in here. Right now, there's been an alliance formed by 3 of the 10 kings. Who are they? Well, you've got Russia, which is Rosh. You've also got Iran, which is Persia. And you've got Beth Togarmah, which is Turkey. These 3 countries just met around a week ago, and they formed an alliance. Folks, this is biblical. This is major prophecy. Because in the history of the world, don't take my word for it, study it out. In the history of the world, these 3 countries has never gotten along, especially to form an alliance. Folks, this revelation is getting close. I'm telling you. The rapture of the church is getting close. There's nothing, biblically, prophecy-wise, there's nothing has to happen before Jesus raptures his church. I'm telling you. We're here. You see how the world's going right now. Look at how the world's going. Everybody, not just the United States, it's Europe, it's Asia, it's every country, folks, is trying to go to a one world order. That's one of the Antichrist's dominions he's going to set up as a one world order. Somebody has to be leading this coalition. Could it be the Antichrist? Absolutely it could be. He could be coming up in rank right now. He could be leading every bit of this. Somebody's leading this one world order. I mean, we heard our president himself say on national TV that he wanted to get involved in this one world order. So folks, I'm telling you, we're living prophecy right now. People, we need to wake up and we need to realize that we're close to the rapture of the church. All right, this third trumpet, verse 10. And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp. And it fell upon the third part of the rivers, and upon the fountains of waters. Verse 11. And the name of the star is called Wormwood, and a third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died from the waters because they were made bitter. In other words, they were poisoned. It was poisonous. Fourth trumpet, verse 12. And the fourth angel sounded, and a third part of the sun was smitten, and a third part of the moon, and a third part of the stars. So as a third part of them were darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise. Now, that takes us to 4 trumpet judgments. Now, we're going to see the 5th trumpet judgment, and these are your woes. You're going to have 3 woes here, okay? And I'll explain that. Your first trumpet judgment will be your first woe. In other words, 3 woes are going to come to this earth. And they're not good. As we go. Alright, verse 13 here. And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe. That's your 3 woes. To the inhabitants of the earth. He's warning them. He's warning the people that's here of what's to come. A woe is not a good thing. There's 3 of them. Okay? And he says right here, Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth by reason of the other voices of the trumpet and of the 3 angels which are yet to sound. This is a warning, again, God's given man. And again, man does not heed the warning. Let's move into the first woe, which is the 5th trumpet judgment. Okay? Chapter 9. Verse 1. And the 5th angel sounded, and I, which is John, saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth. This is, again, this is another asteroid or a comet. He said, and I saw a star fall from heaven to the earth, and to him was given the key to the bottomless pit. Verse 2. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace, and of the sun and the air were darkened by the reason of the smoke of this pit. Now, what is this? The bottomless pit is a part of hell. Okay? We're going to see this bottomless pit again, and we're going to talk about it. This is where Satan will be cast when Christ and the church reigns for 1,000 years. Satan will be cast in this bottomless pit for 1,000 years. And we'll talk about that as we get there. We will see this bottomless pit again. This is part of hell. Where's hell? The Bible says it's the center of the earth. Alright. Verse 3. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth. And unto them were given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. Now, These are going to be some sort of a demonic creature. The Bible's going to describe them for us here. And we're going to figure out what happens here. Well, the first woe here, the fifth trumpet, is affliction of mankind for 5 months. Now, we're going to see what happens here with these creatures. It's going to give us a good description of these creatures. All right? Let's look at this. And their commission is going to be to torment all men, of course, except the 144,000 Jews that's sealed with God's name on them. So verse 4. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. That's your 144,000 sealed Jewish men out of the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, these creatures was told not to hurt the earth, but they are to torment men for 5 months. Verse 5. And to them it was given that they should not kill them. In other words, talking about the men, the people, but that they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was as a torment of a scorpion when it striketh a man. Can you imagine getting stung by a scorpion, how bad this would hurt, how much pain this would bring from a small scorpion? These creatures, we're getting ready to find out, are the size of horses. This, of course, again, is our first woe. Verse 6. This is how miserable people's going to be here, folks. That's why I'm saying it. I would not want to be here. And in those days, in other words, tribulation, shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. In other words, men, people. But when the Bible says men, it's talking about people here, okay? It's everybody. Everybody that's left. Men is going to be so miserable here that they want to die, but the Bible says death will flee from them. Verse 7. Now this is the let's say this is the description of the demons, okay? And the sizes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle. And on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were as faces of men. Now listen to the description of these things. And they had hair as the hair of a woman, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. And they had breastplates, as it were breastplates of iron. In other words, men can't hurt them. And the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. Verse 10. And they had tails like unto scorpions. And there were stings in their tails. In other words, just like a scorpion. And their power was to hurt men 5 months. How were they going to hurt them? They were going to sting them. Now, let's go on. The leader of these demons, we're getting ready to find out that these demons have a leader. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. Now, that's your first woe, is these creatures. And they are given a specific task by God, and they are going to follow what God tells them to do. Even though they're demons, they're not going to hurt anything on this earth other than people. Verse 12. One woe is past, and behold, there comes 2 woes more hereafter. In other words, your first woe has passed. which are these creatures. You have 2 more woes to go on these 7 trumpet judgments. All right. Now, we're getting ready to see the 6th trumpet judgment. In this trumpet judgment, we're going to see there's going to be a loosing of 200 million demons out of this bottomless pit. And what they're to do? The Bible says here God's going to let them slay 1/3 of men. We're also going to see the loosing of 4 angels that God has bound in the Euphrates River in their purpose. Verse 13, and the 6th angel sounded, and I, which is, we talk about John, heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar, which is before God. And this shows us God is in complete control, folks. He allows this to happen due to sin, due to man's rejection of Him. Verse 14, saying to the 6th angel, which had the trumpet, loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. Now, verse 15. And the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour, and a day, and a month, a year, to slay 1/3 part of men. Now, I know we've all heard preachers preach before and say, if we can only delay God's coming. Folks, man's not going to delay God's coming. This verse right here tells us. Let's look at it again. And the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for a certain hour, for a certain day, for a certain month, and for a certain year. It was prepared, folks, before the foundations of the world began. For to slay 1/3 part of men. Now, let's talk about these 4 angels. And I've had people ask, where do they come from? Why are they bound in chains in the great river Euphrates? Well, we're getting ready to see some history when we get on over in here. We know Satan, before he appeared in the Garden of Eden, was a fallen angel. We know that. That's factual. All right. The Bible tells us he turned 1/3 portion of God's angels against him. He didn't do that overnight. I'm a firm believer in the pre-Adamite world. I believe that there's a big space between verses 1 and verses 2. And that's a lesson for another day. But we do know that there's angels chained right now in hell, in darkness, waiting for their judgment. We do know God created hell for Satan and his angels. Think about what I'm saying. If God created hell for Satan and his angels, they had to be fallen for God to create them. So that would put them before mankind was created, before Adam and Eve was created. So these 4 angels are part of the rebellious angels that rebelled against God. He chained these 4 angels here, and he has prepared them a certain hour, a certain day, a certain month, and a certain year. He's going to loose them. That year is set, folks. That day, that hour, that minute is set when this is going to transpire. We're not going to delay God's coming back. It's a set date. It was set before the foundation of the world. And I hope I didn't confuse nobody with that. But these are fallen angels that rebelled with Satan. And we will get into that more, folks, when we get over to chapter 12. I will actually go into a lot more detail with that. But let's go ahead. Now, verse 16. And we'll probably do down to 19 and we'll stop tonight. And the number of the army of these horsemen were 200,000. And I heard the number of them. And you figure that out. My Bible says that's 200 million demons that's released upon this world. You think about that a minute, folks. Verse 17, and thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them having breastplates of fire, and of jacketh, and of brimstone. And the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. Now, what is going to kill these men? All right. The fire that comes out of the mouth, the smoke that comes out of the mouth, and the brimstone that comes out of the mouth. Now, you can sit there and figure fire will kill you, brimstone will kill you because it's heated lava. It's like so how does smoke kill you? Well, think about this. If a volcano was erupting and you go up to stand at the face of this volcano, that smoke that you breathe in will burn your lungs up. It'll kill you. Why? Because it's magma. It's lava. It has an acid in it. It'll kill you. These are the three ways that men will die during this period. By these three was the third part of men killed by the fire, by the smoke, and by the brimstone, which issued out of their mouths. For their power is in their mouth. These creatures are different than the creatures before that was going to sting men. These 200 million is a completely different creature, and they are to kill a third part of mankind. By their power is in their mouth and in their tails. For their tails were likened to serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt. Let's go ahead and do 20 and 21. We'll finish this chapter and we'll pick back up at chapter 10 next time. Looks like men would repent, doesn't it? Verse 20, and the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of their works of their hands, that they should not worship devils, and idols of gold, and silver, and brass, and stone, and of wood, which neither can see, nor hear, nor walk. Neither repented they of their murders, of their sorceries, of their fornication, or of their thefts. And we sit there and we think, how could that be? Well, folks, we're there. We're living in a time like that. When men think it's okay to kill a baby, especially a baby that's just been born, and it's okay to kill that baby, folks, that's murder. God said, in the last days, I will send a great delusion upon men, that they would believe a lie and be damned. Folks, we're there. When you sit and you look at the things going on in this world, and you sit back and wonder how, folks, it's biblical. We're living prophecy every day. So like I said, God said, I'll send a great delusion upon a man, so they believe a lie and be damned. Well, folks, that's the time we're living in right now. Let's get ready. If you're in church, let's get ready. Let's teach and tell others about what's to come and what's coming. Let's prepare. If you're not in church, find a church, folks, and get involved. And let's get busy about the Lord's business. We have short time to do it. Next Tuesday night, we'll pick back up on chapter 10. And like I said, we'll be leading up to the third woe. I think the third woe happens at the end of chapter 11. So there's quite a bit that's going to transpire between the second woe, which we just seen, was these 200 million demons, to the third woe. And again, talking about the hardness of men's hearts, we're actually going to see when the two witnesses that's preaching the kingdom, the coming kingdom, when the Antichrist actually is allowed to kill them, that people on this earth are going to be so happy that these two witnesses for God's dead. The Bible says they're going to let them lay in the streets for 3.5 days, and they're going to exchange gifts like it's Christmas time. Folks, I'm telling you, listen to me. God's preparing His church for the rapture. Satan's preparing this world for his son, the Antichrist. We've got to get ready, and let's get busy. Everyone have a wonderful and blessed Tuesday evening. We'll pick back up next Tuesday night, start at chapter 10. Everyone have a wonderful night. Thank you.